Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell, give 'em a hand, and let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another Mets Hot Stove Live and the last Hot Stove of 2023. And let's please put 2023 in the rearview mirror when it comes to our New York Mets, because not only did it start off as a disaster, it got worse throughout 2023, through the season, through the trade deadline. The offseason hasn't been exactly what a lot of people want. And now we go into 2024 tomorrow, hoping that Stearns and Cohen puts players on this roster that is going to help us do what we need to do in 2024, and that is give us a chance of making the playoffs. So hopefully everybody is doing okay. You got a couple hours. What is it? A little over about 5 hours until the new year. And we can get into everything we need to talk about, starting with the new year. I see a couple of people, the Mets have become a small market team. That's silly, yet they still have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, so that's not true, but that's okay. Again, where was the fans saying the Dodgers did that last year? All they did was sign JD Martinez last year and nobody else. So the Mets are doing the same thing of what the Dodgers did last year and spending no money so they can gear up for 2025 offseason. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like, not trying to do everything you can. Again, there's a lot of offseason left. There's a lot of players out there the Mets can still get. So until it's spring training and we got our roster set for the most part, then we can really talk about what are they really trying to do for 2024, because we really don't know. We really don't know. We can say what we want. We can give our opinions, but we really don't know until they actually start signing guys that we either want or guys we don't want, and then we'll have a better understanding of what they're trying to do. Robbie, I don't know if the Dodgers will be broke in 10 years, but I'm going to tell you this right now. You notice how quiet Dodger fans are? Dodger fans are up and down my channel every day during the season, talking nonsense all the time. I rarely, now they could be watching and just keeping their mouth shut because they know there's a ton of pressure. There's no more excuses anymore, except one. And when they don't win, because probably they won't, because that's just the way baseball is now. You can't put a super team together like the NBA and just win, right? What's going to happen? They're going to blame one guy because that's the last excuse they got left, Dave Roberts. And then when they fire Dave Roberts to bring in somebody else, now they really don't have no excuses. And what are they going to do? Blame the fans for leaving in the 7th inning like they always do? Yeah. So, listen, the fact of the matter is we're going into the new year. We know the first topic of the day is the Shota Imanaga sweepstakes. I still believe the Mets are going to be in on him. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be in on him. And we'll just see what they're going to do. And Imanaga is going to meet with teams after the new year. So I think it's like a few days after the new year, probably start of middle of next week, or probably this week, Mom, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, when he's going to start meeting up with teams. And then we're going to know. We're going to see if the Mets are involved. And if they are, I would be shocked if they're not going to be one of the top finalists to land him. We'll see how that works. But I do expect the Mets to be in on Imanaga, and we'll see how far that actually goes with him. His comps are around 85 to 100 million over 5 years. So, and again, Frankie Montas got $16 million from the White Sox. He pitched 2 games last year. So that just tells you how expensive mediocre pitching is. And look, Severino got $13 million. Like, and that's a bargain considering you see what other guys that are basically on the same level of Luis Severino got more. And we'll see. And again, you know, I could see, and I know Easy, I was just going to bring this up about the fans that are reckless. Fans were so reckless after the Braves made the trade for Sale. Everybody's like, oh, why couldn't the Mets make that deal? Because if the Mets would have made that deal, you would have bitched that you're getting a 35-year-old, often injured, who can't stay on the mound pitcher, and they would have got killed for giving up a prospect like Vaughn Grissom. Yet everybody's praising the Braves because that's what happens. It's just that simple. Yeah, Uncle Ted, Ryu had pitched 30 innings last year. He was hurt, completely injured. You can't go into the season with a guy that you're expecting in the middle of this rotation and not knowing he's going to be healthy. He has not. He wasn't healthy last year at all. James Paxton, again, I wouldn't mind it, but again, I think there's other options in the back end of the rotation that you can actually have. Yeah, but you can stack arms all you want, but you only got 5 spots in your rotation. You can't just send all these guys to minors. You can't just send them all in the bullpen and just say, let's see what sticks. It doesn't work like that. I like Corbin Burns too, Robbie. I've said that for many times. I always felt Joe from Arizona now. Yeah, I like Corbin Burns. I don't know if the Brewers are going to trade him, and I don't know if the Mets are going to go after him this offseason when it comes to that. But at least when you look at it this way, there's a lot of guys there. There's guys like Clevenger. There's guys that are, you know, mid-level rotation guys. And again, I think the Mets are going to get one of the top arms that are still out there. I just feel like they are. I think the most, I guess you could say, financially understandable contract is Shota Imanaga. That's why I brought it up as a first topic, because I think it just makes sense that that's a guy that you can probably get him for between 85 and 100 mil over 5 years, and that's a bargain. And he's a guy who misses bats. I know it's in Japan, but in Japan, they're not very fond of striking out. They don't strike out much as they do in Major League Baseball. So him having more strikeouts than Yamamoto, who Shota Imanaga doesn't have the same velocity as Yamamoto, he misses bats. He uses a lot of deceiving pitches that gets guys out, and he misses bats. That's what I like. Well, I like Shota Imanaga, but I don't like Ryu because he didn't pitch last year. And Elise Severino, he was hurt, but he made 20 starts. Ryu made, what, 9? Like, I don't trust that at all. Yeah, I bet, Joe. I bet. Uncle Ted, you could say he's a stud all you want, but if he's not on the mound, he's not a stud, right? At one point, Luis Severino was better than DeGrom, according to a lot of people. If you're not on the mound, you're not a stud. It's just that simple. Now, if Ryu was willing to take a 1-year deal, I would go for it. I would take that chance. But if he wants any more than that, I'm not doing it. Well, Mike, I mean, do they? I mean, do you want to see Tyler McGill in this rotation? I don't. I don't trust him. Now, I like his stuff, but I can't. You can't put another guy in this rotation that you really can't trust. So I think that's the issue that we're running into right now. All right, let me just check the comments really quick, guys. Give me a second. Well, Mike, yeah, I mean, sorry, not Mike. Who said that? I think Gavo said Imanaga gives up a lot of home runs. I don't. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to see something. Give me a second. I just want to check the stats out real quick. Dario, well, yeah, and thank you for bringing it up about the Kenley Jansen. That's going to be my next situation with the bullpen, trading for a bullpen. The reason why I brought up McGill, and again, I'm okay giving a prospect up for Kenley Jansen. I'm not saying a top like 5 or 10 prospect even. You could probably get a top 15 to 20 prospect and send them over to Boston. I think they would take that over McGill, even though I think they would like McGill because McGill would slide into their rotation, or at the very least be a long man in their bullpen, and the guy that has a couple of years of control and they're cheap because they're trying to shed payroll. So I think that's a situation as well. Well, Jansen will go to a contender. No, Jansen don't have a choice. The Red Sox trade him wherever they get the best offer. So Jansen doesn't go where he wants to go. This ain't the NBA. He's not a free agent. You got to trade for him. So let me just see something. So he pitched 22 games, 148 innings, 17 home runs. That's basically average when it comes to home runs. And throughout his entire career, he 16, 13, 18, 16, 14, 17. He's around the same area. So he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That isn't on average with a lot of other. Again, Yamamoto gives up the same amount of home runs. If you look at his, I have it side by side right now. It's only a couple of home run difference, not that much. No, Mike, the problem with McGill is the fact, I was waiting for somebody to say Jansen sucks. That's somebody that doesn't do their homework because he's been one of the better bullpen arms in baseball. The last 3 seasons, he's been one of the better relievers in baseball. He was an all-star last year with 29 saves. He had over 50 games that he appeared in. Now, I'm not saying that he's a strikeout machine, but he's a guy. And again, when I look at bullpen guys, I look at guys with what their ERA is, and I like to look at the walks. Now, his walks are a little higher than I would like, but when your ERA is under 3.5 as a bullpen guy, that means you might get yourself into a jam, but you get out of it. And there's a lot of times Jansen has come in with runners on, so he's been coming into a jam. Home run hitter, you could think he's a bum, but he's not. You just don't do your homework. That's the sad part. No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was great in 2015. But if you look over the last 3 seasons, I would like you to do that. It's not hard. Google Kenley Jansen stats. You'll find it. Jansen has under a 3.5 ERA. He had 29 saves. The last 2 seasons with the Braves and the Dodgers, he had 40-plus saves. And again, you're not using him as a closer. That's what people don't understand. You're not using him as a closer. I mean, every now and then to give Diaz a day off, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, if you this is a guy, and again, if you get Jansen, you sign back David Robertson. Now, you got Jansen, Robertson, Raleigh, and Diaz, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever 6 to 7 and 8th inning guy you want to use there, whatever you want to finagle it, it's fine with me. But the fact of the matter is, that's a pretty good bullpen. You had one of the better relievers and closers in baseball last year in Robinson. I don't expect him to have an amazing ERA like he did last year, but if he pitches to a 2.83 ERA, our home run is so everybody sucks, but he doesn't. Again, Raleigh had his career numbers last year. He had just over a 3.12 ERA last year, Raleigh. So Raleigh wasn't bad. The problem is Raleigh got put into a mix of a bullpen that was bad. Raleigh was put into a lot of situations where he shouldn't have been. So he wasn't bad. Again, just look at the numbers. It's not him. All right, Colin Holderman. Where is he now? How's he doing for Pittsburgh with his 4 ERA? All right, let's calm it down because oof. Uncle Ted ERA. You see, no. See, and again, he walks the ballpark, but again, find me bullpen arms that don't walk people. Right? Again, he is the guy that gets out of a lot of jams. Again, he walks a lot of people. He walks batters. I'll give you that. But he gets out of the jams. He rarely gives up a lot of runs. He rarely does. He gets himself in trouble sometimes. I'll give you that. But he gets out of the jams. Because if his whip is bad, which it is, and his ERA is in the 4s, that means he gets himself into trouble and can't get out of it. So the whip might be important, but it would be more important if his ERA was in the 4s. Well, Richard, I wouldn't say most of the salary. Like, if they take half, you're getting a guy who is one of the better bullpen arms still in baseball, which is not easy. You're going to find a guy like Ottavino who had a worse ERA than Jansen, who is going to get about $10, $11 million on the open market. You're going to get a guy in Jansen. Say if the Red Sox pay half. And I'm not saying give up McGill. Say if they want a top 20 prospect. Say if they want, from 15 to 20. An arm or catcher or whatever. Say if they want a prospect, and they take half of the contract. You're paying $8 million for a guy that you can put right into the middle of your bullpen. That is a lot better than. Let's be honest, he was better than Ottavino last year. Yet Ottavino, if you really look at his numbers overall, wasn't that bad. The only bad thing was he gave up a lot of home runs. Jansen did it. And that's the other thing. Jansen doesn't give a lot of home runs because he throws a heavy ball. He throws that heavy sinker that I like. And again, you're moving from Fenway to Citi Field. Jansen throws a heavy ball. And if you notice what David Stearns is doing with a lot of the arms he brought in on minor league invites to spring training, and a couple of guys he brought in for the bullpen already that some people think they're just no names, but if you really look at them, it's the guys that throw heavy balls, that throw a lot of sliders. And when you work with those pitchers, and like a guy like Jorge Lopez, 2 years ago, he was 5th in saves with the Orioles on a bad team. So people only look at last year and be like, oh my God, he's the worst bullpen arm known to man. Yet nobody can name 3 Brewers bullpen arms or 3 Yankee bullpen arms. You know why? Because they're not known names. The fact of the matter is, putting together a bullpen are crapshoots now. Because I can give you bullpens that have names that you might know that are not even close to the top 5, the top 10 bullpen arms in baseball. So the fact when it comes to Kenley Jansen, I'm not saying he's great, but in a bullpen now or in baseball, you want consistency. Jansen has been consistent with his under 3.5 ERAs over the last couple of years. That's why I like a guy like that. Like, why do you want David Robertson? Because he was very consistent last year, right? Why you don't want Ottavino back? Because he wasn't consistent, right? Diaz was so important because he was consistent. Consistency matters. I like the fact that his ERA, I only went back 3 years, but if you look back over the last 6 years, his ERA is really around the same thing. The only thing that changed was his saves. And I like guys that 1 year 3.2 ERA, 3.3 ERA, 3.12 ERA. That is a guy that is consistent. I know when he goes out there, yeah, he might, give you a heart attack every now and then, but 85% of the time he gets out of those jams. And I think that's important, right? Edwin Diaz if you look at his whip, it wasn't good 2 years ago. But it changed. Why? Because he was able to limit the damage. When you walk guys, you don't want to let them get in, right? That's the whole point, right? A lot of times, bullpens, guys that come in usually come on with guys on. So their ERAs can be a little bit skewed, right? If you get guys, if you're always constantly coming in with guys on base, there's a pretty good chance you're going to give up a few. Well, Joel, the reason why I don't think they're talking to Jordan Hicks, because I think Jordan Hicks wants to be a closer, and I think he's going to get, I'm not saying like $100 million closer money, but he's probably going to get around a $50, $60 million deal over 4 or 5 years. I don't think the Mets are doing that. I don't like giving bullpen arms that is not going to be my closer a long-term deal. Doesn't make sense. Because the best bullpens are guys that you find off the scrap heap, guys you give 1-2 year deals to. Because the Mets did that 2 years ago when they had one of the better bullpens in baseball. They give guys 1-2 year deals and you go with that. I don't like giving a guy like Jordan Hicks a 4 or 5 year deal. And Joel just said it, he's always, he's hurt a lot. And if you're going to give a guy that much money, easy. Jordan Hicks is not going to take a 1-2 year deal. He's not. He just became a free agent. And let's be honest, he's one of the better bullpen arms that a lot of people consider him a closer. And that's the problem that you're going to have. The same thing with when there was Met fans saying, oh, let's get Josh Hader. Why would you give nobody pays 2 relievers $100 million. Shoot, nobody pays 2 relievers $50+ million. It just doesn't happen. It does not happen. So you got to get that out of your head. And Jordan Hicks is probably going to get more than a 2-year deal. And the Mets ain't doing that. Easy, I guarantee you, Jordan Hicks is going to get anywhere from a 3 to 5 year deal. Because there's going to be a lot of teams that look at him as a guy that can be a closer. Most can be a closer. That's the problem. And if you give him 3, 4, 5 year deal, you're probably going to give him upwards of $15 million per year because he's considered a closer. If you look on what his status is as a pitcher, he's on the closer bracket. Mike, the roster isn't set as is because right now they have 38 guys on the roster. So nothing's set. And there's always guys that are going to get knocked off, going to get released, going to get, sent to the minors, off the 40-man, put other people on the 40-man. A lot can happen over this time. Yeah, JD, you ain't kidding. Well, Joel, you know what? I think a lot of us thought that Severino wouldn't get as much money as he did. Wouldn't think that Montas, who only pitched 2 games last year, got more money than Severino. The fact of the matter is, arms in the rotation and bullpen are getting a hell of a lot more money than anybody expected. I don't like it, but you're not going to get anybody because the market is insanely high. Arms are at a premium right now. There's not a lot of great names in the bullpen market or the starting pitching market. It's very limited. So the best players in that bracket right now are going to get paid more than what they should because they're the best available. They might not be the greatest, but they're the best available. S-Man, you're talking about Montez de Oca? Oh, well, he's still recovering, but again, he probably won't because I think he got hurt in May, if I'm not mistaken. So he might be ready in June. So that's a while away. Happy New Year, Grant. So let's just keep on going on with the bullpen. We talked about Jansen, that if the Mets can try to get him away, you got to make the Red Sox pay a little bit of the money because $60 million for a reliever who is not going to be a closer is a lot of money. But if you can get them to pay at least half, it was Tommy John. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. So it was spring training. So, okay. So then he should be ready to go, but don't rush him back because he got a great arm. And I know I'm lagging a little bit. I apologize for that. Happy New Year, Victor. All right. So let's talk about left field options. Because, look, we know Bellinger's out of the question. I think it's crazy to give Bellinger that type of money. Even if, unless Bellinger would like to take another 1-year deal, I don't want him. Yeah, Joel. I mean, Deoka is nasty. We just got to keep him healthy because he definitely can be an eighth inning guy, be a bridge guy to Diaz, and could possibly be a closer in the next few years as well. So hopefully he gets healthy and he's ready to go, but let's take it easy with him. So left field options. I'm okay with saying maybe give Gilbert a chance to win that job. The only reason why I say that because I think he is going to be a very good player. He's a guy, he reminds me of Lenny Dykstra. He's a guy that goes balls to the wall all the time. He is an energetic guy that gives 110% every single time. And again, I'm one of these people that I don't like giving prospects positions that didn't deserve it. And I'm not saying if Gilbert struggled in spring training, just still give him the left field job. No. I don't want that shit no more. I don't want to see anybody win a job that doesn't deserve it. And that goes for any prospect. If you're Brett Beatty and you suck in spring training, you don't win the job. If Vientos is better than you, give Vientos the opportunity. I see it just like that. Uncle Ted, that's fine. But guess what? It was the 80s. Everybody was a drug addict. Let's be honest about that. JD, would you be shocked if Shota goes to the Dodgers? Well, Derek, I mean, I'd rather get a guy that gives 100% than gives 75% and doesn't die for a ball in the outfield or goes, stretches out a double. Like, honestly. Yeah, Bravos. Yeah, exactly. You're right. I'm not sure Jet Williams is going to come out of spring training. Now, if he has like an amazing spring training and just gives the Mets no choice, then cool. I take that. I have no problem with that. But we need to get these guys to earn it. I'm sick and tired of giving guys the role or the position saying, here, that's your job. What have they earned? Let them earn it. That's what the minors is for. That's what spring training is for. When you earn it, you get the job. It's just that simple. Yeah, John, I think we got to be careful with DJ Stewart. He was lightning in a bottle with no pressure at all. I like him in the role he's probably going to be with, and that is a defensive replacement guy off the bench, bat, starting sparingly, giving guys days off. That's fine. Gisty, Happy New Year from Ireland. Have a beer for me, buddy. Rock, again, we are competing this season. This is the problem that I have. Did everybody see the odds that came out for Major League Baseball of making the playoffs? The Mets are 12th. You know how many teams make the playoffs? 12. All right. That's how minuscule it is that you can go one way or the other. What if Kodai Senga is the guy that he showed in the second half and pitches to an under 3 ERA? What if Severino stays healthy for the most part, gives you 20 plus starts, and pitches to his career 3.5 ERA? What if Hauser does what he does? What if you get consistent starting pitching and guys stay healthy in your rotation? Because if guys stay healthy, that's automatically basically almost a 500 team. It's when guys get hurt. Well, explosive. I can say that about every single team. Every single team has ifs. I'm sorry. Well, what team doesn't have ifs? You got to remember, last year the Mets won 75 games with no consistent rotation. The only guy that pitched every fifth day or every sixth day was Kodai Senga. If the Mets had 3 starters that were consistently given starts every fifth day, they could have easily won 81 games. They could have been a 500 team. And I 100% agree. I 100% believe that. And look, I'm not going to tell you right now. Look, I'm not going to give you my Mets prediction and say, oh, they're going to be a 92-win team. But you can have a team. I mean, you can be a third wildcard team with 84 wins, 85 wins, maybe less, depending on how the National League looks. Like, the National League is very top heavy. There's like 2, maybe 3 great teams, legit top of the line teams. Those teams are going to win your division. All the other teams are on that next tier. Now you can say, tier B, tier C, but it's not that much games of a difference. That's the point. Well, home run, yeah, Bassett's good during the season, and then when he gets to a playoff, he doesn't know how to pitch. Did you see how he pitched for Toronto Blue Jays? He was terrible. Well, JD, if Pete is traded away, which he won't be until the deadline, that means the Mets had a bad first half. And I have no reason, there's no reason why you wouldn't trade Pete Alonso at the deadline if you're not doing well. Right? Why not? Get something for him. And if you really want Pete back, just be the highest bidder. He'll be back. Right? Look, again, we could talk about Yamamoto. We could talk about Ohtani. They wanted to go to the Dodgers, but let's not act like they took $30 million less to go there. They still took the most money. Derek, I agree. I don't know if Severino is going to be ace-type material, but I think Severino is going to be fine. Last year was an anomaly, right? If you looked at all the things that was going on when he went on the IL and the Yankees didn't want to take him off the 60-day and he was pissed off, they didn't make him pitch in the WBC. It was a whole bunch of nonsense. He needs to change the scenery. And he's a guy, because remember, last year, all you heard, when Severino comes back, his ace stuff, he'll be at the top of the rotation for the Yankees and, number 2, number 3. The Mets aren't looking for him to do that. If he gives you a 3.5, between 3.5 and a 4 ERA, do you know what we had at the back end of that rotation last year? Every one of the pitchers had over a 5 ERA. You're not winning like that. You get pitchers that pitch to a 4 ERA in the back end of your rotation, you're in good shape. You can't have guys like Carrasco giving you a 6.5 ERA. You can't have David Peterson pitching to a 5.5 or Tyler McGill pitching to almost 5 ERA. Doesn't work. And remember, we didn't get a starter get past the 6th inning until the middle of May. And what does that do? When you already have a bullpen that's depleted because the Diaz injury, you wore them down in the first 2 months of the season. And there you go. Subway to Shea Anthony. How you doing, buddy? Happy New Year. Oh, the D-backs just added. Really? Huh. Let's see. Was that true? Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, well, good. The D-backs are good. But again, that's one team. But again, right? I think the Padres are going to still be good. But are they more than an 85 win team? They haven't shown that, even with all the talent. They just lost Soto. They're losing Snell. They're losing Hader. That's a lot. And they're still going to be good. But again, there's so many teams that are around the 500 to 86 win team. 81 to 86 win team. I guarantee you there's probably about 5 or 6 teams that are in that bracket for 3 spots. And again, the Diamondbacks, who went to the World Series, the Mets swept them in the season series. They were 6-0. Again, that might not mean much, but there's no reason why a team like the Mets went from 101 to 75. Why can't the Mets go from 75 to 85? Again, if they have a 500 June, they're an 82, 83 win team and right in the mix in the playoffs for a wild card. That's how minuscule one way or the other is, from being mediocre at best to an average team that has a chance of making the playoffs. That's how close it is. All it takes, and you see, 1 month for the Mets destroyed their hopes of a playoffs, and that was June. If the Mets have a month where, if they play 27 games, and somehow, some way they go 20-7 in that month, that helps you going into a month if you have a subpar month. Because look at the team like the Reds, the Diamondbacks. All those teams had one really good month. All their other months were 500 months. Look at it. The Reds had 1 month where they were 10 games over 500. Every other month, they were 1 game under, 1 game over 500, or at 500 at best. It takes 1 month to put you right in the mix. Right? The Reds had 1 good month. They had a month where they were 11 games over 500. Every other month, they were 500 or a little under or a little above 500. Not much more than that. That is a big deal. Again, you can go 500 for the first couple of months. I guarantee you'll be on pace to be in a playoff spot by the time from March 28th, when we start the season, until the trade deadline, August 1st. You can have 500 months and be a team that is right there fighting for a playoff spot. Maybe not a division, but a wild card. And it only takes 1 move or 2 at the deadline to make all the difference in the world. What did the Diamondbacks really get? Tommy Pham? They got a couple of veterans. And I think that's important. All you got to do is be in the mix. The Mets put themselves out of the mix when they had a terrible, it wasn't even a bad, it was a terrible June. And it screwed up their very good May and their average May. June was just a disaster. All right, let's see. Hold on. Well, so maybe I don't necessarily agree with that, because the Mets were very mediocre with no starting pitching last year, and they won 75 games. 1 win more a month gets you to a 500 record. A few more games gets you to 84, 85 wins. Again, if they go 500 in June, they're right where the D-backs are at the end of the year. Good. If they have a 500 June, you can add 8 more wins to their total. That would have got them to 83 wins, 84, depending on who knows if they would have traded Scherzer or Verlander or everybody else. They might have kept them. Again, that's the whole idea. If the Mets, and then the Mets also got healthier. Verlander was starting to pitch good. If the Mets had a 500 June, they would have been right in the mix. They wouldn't have traded Verlander. Maybe they would have traded Scherzer because he was a complete disaster. But Quintana came back. Quintana came back and solidified a rotation that only had Senga in it. And yet the Mets had a decent July, a decent, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a okay July, a decent August, and a decent September. And they won 75 games. All it took was Quintana going out there every fifth day, pitching to his 4 ERA to just have 500 months. If the Mets don't have a June swoon, because it always takes 1 month to unravel a season. Nobody says you have to have crazy records in the month of April. But if you start off really well, say in the first 28 games, you go, I don't know, 17, let's say 18 and like 12 or something like that, whatever the hell that is, 29 games. You know, you stay within 4 or 5 games over 500 for the first couple of months, you're going to be right in the mix in that wild card. Nobody runs away with the wild card. How many games did the Phillies win this year? Right? Should I check? Let me check just to make sure, so I'm not wrong. Let's see. They won 90 games last year, and they were the top wild card team. Like, it's, I mean, the Marlins were the second with 84 wins, along with the Diamondbacks. 84 wins. Got the second and third wild card. That's crazy. 90 wins gets the top wild card. When 2 years ago, yet 101 wins got you the first wild card. That's insane. Well, explosive. What's today? December 31st. There's about 4, 5, 6 pitchers that can help this rotation. There's a lot of bullpen arms. Not a lot of bullpen signed yet. And all the DHs and all the bats that are still out there are still out there. It's not like they're all off the board and the Mets are stuck with this roster. Now, when the end of January comes and there is no Imanaga or Montgomery or even a Snell, which I'm not very happy with, but say if it's not any one of those guys and they bring in, you know, like I said, if they bring in a guy like Clevenger, I still think the Mets are making a trade for a pitcher, a starting pitcher. I believe that. Well, yeah, I mean, Atlanta's going to win the division, right? Atlanta ran away with the division. And their pitcher staff was in shambles because their offense was just elite. But again, I just gave it 2 teams, won 84 games, got the second and third wild card. All these teams, look, the Mets, right? Let me just show you. The Mets, the Cubs, 83 wins. Right? The Reds, 82 wins. The Cardinals are probably going to be better. Say they're going to be around the 500 mark as well. Right? The Diamondbacks, 84 wins. The Padres, 82 wins. The Giants, 79 wins. This is what you're competing with. So the Giants are automatically going to be better than 79 wins, right? Are the Padres going to be better than 82? Maybe the Diamondbacks be around 84 wins, but they got to compete with the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants, who are 500 teams, right? The Cubs and the Reds were only 7 or 8 games better than the Mets, but did the Cubs and Reds do much? Now, the Cubs have an okay offseason, but again, they haven't done much either. These are teams that also haven't done nothing. Right? If Bellinger goes to the American League, well, the Cubs just lost a guy in Bellinger. Who are they replacing him with? Right? Again, it's a lot of teams that are in the 80 the 500 to 85, 86 win team. And it takes 1 month to get you a few games over 500. Because all you need is that one really good month, just like the Reds had, just like the Diamondbacks had, just like a lot of teams have that were in the wild card mix. The Reds had one good month. The Diamondbacks, who had terrible months, but had one really, really good month, and it got them to 84 wins. That's all you need. Have a really good month. You know, if you go 20-10 during the month, 10 games over 500, if you go 500 the rest of the way, you're basically automatically 4 or 5 games, maybe 6 games over 500. Guess what? That's 84, 85, 86 wins. You're going to be right in the mix, because I can guarantee you there's a pretty good chance that the third wild card is going to be between 84 and 86 wins. Joel, it's not about being optimistic. It's realistic. I just gave you all the teams that are mediocre to average. You can't tell me the Diamondbacks are not average. They went on a run, but they won 84 games. The same thing like the Marlins, won 84 games. You think the Marlins are going to be right where they were last year, or are they going to be worse? That's the whole point. The fact of the matter is, the Mets are in the mix with all those other teams, because a lot of those other teams, the Dodgers, who already are winning their division, got better. But that ain't a concern of the Mets until you face them in the playoffs if you make it. The same thing with the Braves. I'm not looking at the division. It sucks, but it's true. What I'm looking at is the 3 wildcard spots where a couple of games here and there can make all the difference in the world. You know what? If we won that Philly game that we had the big lead, right? There's a lot of ifs, but if could be for a lot of teams. If the Phillies would have actually showed up in game 6 and 7, they would have made the World Series, right? No, I don't think they're going to be bad. But again, everybody thinks they have a shot of making the playoffs. They won 4 less games than the Mets. So all of a sudden, they're going to make a 14 game jump. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to say the Cardinals are going to make that jump, why can't the Mets make that jump when you can say that the Mets lineup is better than theirs? Again, it's a lot of mediocre, but it takes 2 mediocre teams that made the playoffs last year, and one of them went to the World Series. The same thing in 2022. The Phillies scraped in and made the World Series. Well, what, 86 wins? 87 wins? Again, it takes 1 good month, and it means everything. And that's the whole point that I'm trying to make. So when it comes to starting pitching, let's talk about JD Martinez. I think it's more likely at this point than Justin Turner, because I feel like Justin Turner's probably wanting a 2 or 3 year deal, or at least 2 years with maybe a vesting option or a player option. I think JD Martinez, like he did the last 2 seasons, take 1 year deals. And I think that's why the Mets are probably more in on JD Martinez. Again, look, after today or after tomorrow, basically, on Tuesday, you saw a couple of players signed prior to New Year's Eve. Starting Tuesday, when everybody gets back to work and gets back in the groove of things, you're going to see a lot of things picking up. Shoto Imanaga is going to be meeting teams. You're going to see Montgomery, you're going to start hearing noise. You're going to hear Snell making noise with teams and all that stuff. Yeah, but you see, Stearns is an idiot. Again, even with the Brewers, he made moves at the deadline every single time when they were in the hunt. Divisional wild card. I'm not worried about that. The Mets are not going to do what they did in 2022. I'm sorry. In 2022, I don't care what anybody says. You could have got JD Martinez if you wanted to get JD Martinez. Billy Epler was gun shy. He was so afraid of giving up one prospect that could have made all the difference in the world. Everybody's like, oh, but JD Martinez got hurt with Boston. But that doesn't mean he would have got hurt with the Mets, right? If he would have came to the Mets, maybe he would have tweaked his back in a situation that he tweaked his back with when he was with the Red Sox or with the Dodgers, right? You just don't know. William, I would give 2 years to JD Martinez. I don't know if he's going to take a 2-year deal. I don't know if he's looking for that. I mean, he might be looking for a 2-year deal, but it's just a matter of, is somebody going to, because he's not going back to the Dodgers. They already have their DH in Ohtani. Yeah, listen, I would have no problem if it takes 2 years to get JD Martinez. I do it. But on the other hand, if Justin Turner wants 2 years, I like Justin Turner more, and I've told you my reasoning for that. Because JD Martinez, if you look at the year that he didn't hit a lot of home runs, the RBIs were down. What does that tell you? When he doesn't hit home runs, he doesn't drive in runs. Justin Turner, on the other hand, doesn't rely on the home runs to drive in the runs. He hit, 23 home runs last year? Had 96 RBIs. What does that tell you? That tells you that he drove the ball, gap to gap, got the base hits when he needed them with runners on. He doesn't rely on the home run to drive in runs. And on top of that, Justin Turner can play first base and third base, giving Pete Alonso a day off. If the rookies are struggling at third, play Justin Turner a little bit just to calm down the kids, and then give the kids back the start, and bring back Justin Turner to DH. I think Turner's more valuable than JD Martinez, because JD Martinez, if he doesn't hit, he's Vogelback all over again, because he's positionless. Can't put him in the outfield. He could play maybe 1 or 2 games here and there, but not every day. He barely played first base. He could, but not every day. The fact of the matter is, you're taking a risk with JD Martinez, because if he has a year like he only had a couple of years ago, where he only hit 17 home runs with 50, 60 RBIs, well, that's Vogelback again. Because you can't play him on the field. He is a one-dimensional player. Now, if he hits 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, well, you got a lot out of him. But if he doesn't, you got a bat on the bench that is not producing where you need him to be. With Justin Turner, at the very least, if he's not providing a ton of bat production-wise, I know he can play the field. Still a decent, pretty good defender at third base, and can play first base. You know, when you want to give Alonso a day off on the field, you put him at DH, you put Turner at first. You know, you want to give Beatty a day off, boom, put him at third base. Yeah, Ramirez, see, getting both of them doesn't make sense. Chris, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Doesn't make sense. Because, again, if JD Martinez is DHing, that's 2 right-handed bats. If Beatty's playing okay and Alonso's your first baseman, where's Justin Turner playing? He's sitting on the bench. And that doesn't help the lineup at all. It's a one or the other. I like Justin Turner because of the versatility that you can have. Because if JD Martinez doesn't hit, he is just a skinny version, right-handed bat of Vogelback, who is not going to be doing much. 16 home runs, 60 RBIs, you can get that from Vogelback. Not saying I want Vogelback, but I'm saying the fact is he was a positionless player, and when he didn't hit, he was useless. If JD Martinez doesn't hit, he's useless. I like Tyrone Taylor because of the fact that he can play all 3 outfield positions. He has a ton of speed. He can come in defensive replacements. He has a little pop in his bat. Like, he's a guy that can come off the bench and knock one over the wall. Like, he's not a great player, but he knows his role. And I love players like that. I love players that know their role. Like, Adrian Hauser knows his role. He knows he's a back-end rotation type of guy. He knows if he's not in the rotation, he's going to be a long man in the bullpen. I love guys that know their role. I don't like guys that expect to be in a certain spot and leave them alone. No. You be where you need to be. And guys like that are very important. to a team. So the last couple of minutes, guys, I just want to go over everything of what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not sure, Chris Nelson. I'm going to talk to you guys in a group chat. Hayden, again, tomorrow is Monday. It is the new year. If those guys are available, we're going to bring back the Mets Roundtable together for a Mets Hot Stove and talk all the things we need to talk about regarding our Mets. I will speak to the guys in a group chat. I will be on tomorrow, Monday, regardless, for another Mets Hot Stove. I'll be posting a video tomorrow. If you haven't checked out my video in regards to the trade that I think the Mets can make with Boston along with Kenley Jansen. Again, I threw Tyler McGill in there, but I go into a lot more detail of why I put Tyler McGill in that trade. Check out the video when you get a chance. I'm going to do another video tomorrow that's going to be a lot more interesting. And it's another trade. And I think that's something that would probably be more optimistic for Mets fans because it's a controllable piece. So, before we end this, New Year is here. Let's hope the Mets do enough where you can go into the season and say, hey, you know what? That rotation stays healthy. If things go right, they can pull something off here. They can make the playoffs. A lot can happen. They're explosive, and that's the problem. Like I said, if the Mets do, if the Mets get like a Clevenger and get, another middle rotation guy, and Kodai Senga is your opening day starter, you can do a lot worse. Because Explosive said, McGill was an opening day starter the last 2 seasons. Jacob deGrom went down, and then Scherzer went down. Verlander, excuse me. So, look, I'm not saying the Mets are going to be world beaters. But you can't tell me that even with their terrible rotation, constantly injured, they never had Quintana until late in the season. Verlander was gone for a month and a half. Didn't start really getting going until late June. Scherzer was in and out. And then when he pitched, he sucked. You had nobody but Senga. Yet, it took a terrible June to knock them out of a running for the playoffs. And even then, at the deadline, they were still only 5 or 6 games out of a wild card spot at that point. So, again, it takes a month of 500. If the Mets were 500, they would have been right in the mix. And I could have guaranteed you they would have probably done something at the deadline to help them out. But because their June was so bad, it spiraled them out of control. So, guys, another year of the channel. When I started the channel, I never thought I would be anywhere close of over 5,000 subscribers. And only a year ago, I wasn't even at 3,000 yet. So I do appreciate you guys. About 5,200 subscribers in now. It's only getting bigger. I want to thank Chris, Hayden, Nelson, Anthony, all the guys, the Shea and Sons, all the guys that, helped me make my channel better. And I hope I help their channel get a little bit better. Look, I don't do this alone. Those guys bring a lot of content to the table on my channel and on theirs, of course. But if you guys don't keep on coming back, there wouldn't be a channel, right? And not only do you guys come back, there's more subscribers, more and more each and every day. Like just with the video that I did earlier with the Mets and Red Sox trade, got over 50 subscribers. So I do appreciate that. And Derek, I agree. I did get a whole lot better. I agree. Again, I checked my videos from the first couple of months, year I did it. It's complete difference. And hey, listen, you live and learn, right? All you can do is try to get better, right? But I'm going to be the same person I always am. I'm going to be very blunt. I'm going to give you my opinion. You don't have to agree. That's what sports is all about. But it's important that you guys keep on coming back and don't think I don't appreciate that every single time. Again, every Mets hot stove this offseason had over 120 consistent viewers. At one point this year, a couple times I had over 200. And again, you guys do that, it's awesome. Yeah, explosive. Speaking of that, yeah. I not really like walking down the block going to a grocery store. I mean, if that starts to happen, I might have to, Uber Eats everything. or or doing something like that, or DoorDash or something like that, or Instacart or something like that. But no, I mean, when I go to sporting events, when I go to the Queens Baseball Convention, like I did this year, like go to games, like I think me and a couple of my coworkers are going to be going to MetLife Stadium for the Winter Classic when the Rangers face the Islanders. I guarantee you there's a few people there that might run into me and say, when I go to City, like I said, when I went to Yankee Stadium, I had more Yankee fans recognize me than Mets fans at Citi Field. Maybe Mets fans just like, oh, I see this guy all the time. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, when I went to Minnesota, there was 3 fans that were Twins fans came up to me and says, hey, we subscribe to your channel. We like you, blah, 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 and all that stuff. So yeah, if I can't walk down the street and go to the supermarket or something like that, yeah, I'm going to start hiring security. I'm going to start taking applications from you guys. But mostly during sporting events. But again, if you do see me, come up to me. I can assure you I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy, right? I'm not going to punch you in the face or anything like that, unless you're a Dodger fan. I'm just joking. So once again, guys, another year in the books for this channel. I do appreciate it. The channel's only getting bigger and stronger, and I hope to provide more and more content. Again, you guys know if you've been with me for a while, and if you're new to the channel, during the season, I do in-game lives while watching the game with you guys. I got the MLB Game Day app on, so you get to follow the game there. You get to listen to the game. I put the audio up there. You get my instant reactions and all that fun stuff as well. Of course, off season, you get Mets Hot Stove. You get all types of other breaking news stories, videos, and all that fun stuff, as you guys know. So I do appreciate you guys hanging out. So once again, guys, everybody have a safe and healthy Happy New Year. Don't do something I wouldn't do. Drink, but be safe, guys. Happy New Year. 2024 is coming up, and 2023 is in the books. Put it in the books, as Howie Rose says. So everybody have a great night. Let's go, Mets. Hopefully 2024 is better. We are dying for a championship. Make the playoffs, and then we can talk about championship, right? Dying to just have a consistent playoff team. Let's start with that. So have a good night, guys. Let's go, Mets. Happy New Year. I'll see you next time, guys. Merry Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Whatever you celebrate. And watch the ball drop. Enjoy your New Year's. Have a great night. Let's go, Mets. See you next time, guys. Have a good night.
Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets